I love Dungeons and Dragons, but there's always been this one little thing that just bugged me so much, and it's kind of the most important part of the game. So I've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth between milestone experience point system and point-based experience system. Now I grew up in the 80s, so the experience point system then didn't have an option. It wasn't until my adult years playing Dungeons and Dragons where I realized that the players were actually utilizing this rule to kind of gamify the game. They looked at monsters as less of a threat and less of a challenge in every encounter, and kind of looked at it as sort of a way to just level their character. The whole point of experience points is actually something that I've actually looked at a lot and actually tried to sort of delve into and see how it should be handled in game. Now, I've come up with some ideas and I haven't quite nailed it yet. So I'm going to share some of those ideas with you, and while not finalized, I think you might see they're actually going in the right direction for, adding a little bit more flavor to your games. Let's have a look. Players fight monsters, monsters die, monsters bust open like a piñata full of little experience points bubbles. So this is the tried and true system that players currently use, and that's pretty much been a long-standing D&D tradition, where experience points are doled out based on monsters defeated. Now, on the surface, great system, but unfortunately it doesn't account for some of the minutiae that goes into playing the game besides just killing monsters. Things like performing well, things like doing successful skill checks, role-playing, all the extra little things that D&D is all about don't reward the players with any kind of progression. Now, I've actually used this system to good effect in different ways by awarding experience points tokens, which have a random amount of experience points. But again, it's all monetized, and once players figure out exactly how they're going to get these little tokens and these little experience points bubbles, it kind of falls apart and it becomes a very meta game system. Like chapters in a book, these are the days of our D&D players. All jokes aside, Milestone is actually pretty cool. It's the one system that I pretty much adopted right off the bat after growing tired of the experience point system of the old days. Now, Milestone is not without its challenges as well, and one of the big things that I find is a big issue with it is that you're basically leveling up characters at the bookend of any significant chapter in the adventure or any significant sort of climax or obstacle in the actual adventure that you're playing. Now, on the surface it sounds pretty cool. I mean, you are in control of when the players advance throughout the story, but there is no real progression, so to speak. There's nothing that really goes into increasing your character's skill on a moment-to-moment basis. It's kind of just an arbitrary point in time where you feel that the character should have advanced to a certain level. It doesn't give the players any sense that what they're doing in each moment is contributing to that progression. So I think we can do a little bit better. Follow me and we'll talk about my option. Now, before we go any further, remember my caveat. I haven't actually fleshed this system out and I haven't really completed it in its entirety. It's kind of a riddle that's eluding me. So the one that I'm currently in the process of building, evaluating, is the challenge system. Now, what I've done is I've borrowed some basically concepts from video games. Now, before you all beat me up and flame me in the comments section, let me just elaborate. To me, progression is based on more than just a numerical value. It's what the character does and how the character acts during the course of the game that should dictate sort of the progression that the character is taking. Now, in the challenge system, basically each class has a set of benchmarks or challenges that they need to overcome, achieve in order to progress to the next level. Now, these challenges aren't numerical based necessarily. In some cases they can be, but more than anything, they're actually custom situations or benchmarks that the character needs to overcome. So for example, in one of the character paths that I've created for the challenge system, it involves casting a certain amount of spells, using a certain amount of your first level spells before you graduate to getting to the next level. Utilizing some of the attributes of your characters or some of the tropes of your characters is really important. As a ranger class, for example, using certain skills as a way to advance to the next level to show moved along the path of the ranger class. Fighters have to do a certain amount of damage. Barbarians have to rage a certain amount of times. There's just certain little details within each class that's embedded that you can pull out of it for challenges that sort of act as sort of markers for the player to actually achieve in order to progress. They're not necessarily numerical based. They're not necessarily monsters killed or experience points gained in that traditional sense, but rather a video game style challenge system that allows the players to keep track of what they're doing, but at the same time have a goal and know that they're working towards it. Now, it's not a perfect system and I haven't fleshed it out, so I would love to hear feedback, positive feedback, on what you think you would do to this challenge system. I'm in the process of adding it into a really sensitive game that I have with players who have never experienced progression in D&D before. So I hope these have given you some ideas on how to approach experience points in your games of Dungeons & Dragons. I'd really love to hear what you have to think and how you actually do it in your games. It's a big issue for me and one that I really haven't mastered in all my years playing Dungeons & Dragons. Hope you're all having fun playing D&D out there, guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Before you go, I need your help. I'm trying to grow the exposure of what we do here at Maverick Games. My goal is to actually bring information to parents and students for fun, academics, and even support of neurodivergency. Please subscribe and make sure you click on those notifications. I don't do paid ads or sponsorships. I hope that you can find content here that's enjoyable for yourself and maybe others. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in.